Okay, we'll start with this. The continued fallout of Amanda Serrano's decision to vacate the WBC title on the premise that the WBC won't sanction a women's boxing match for 12 3-minute rounds, and as a result of that, WBC interim champion Sky Nicholson has now been ordered to fight Sarah Mafud for the newly vacated WBC title, and reportedly, they have until January next month to reach a deal, with the caveat being that Sarah Mafud is already booked to fight someone else. She's booked to fight Michelle Braga, a fight we talked about a few episodes ago. So what is she gonna do? Is she gonna stay the course and take on Michelle Braga next month as was originally planned, or will she scrap that fight, can those plans, and look to fight Sky Nicholson early next year instead? It's not mutually exclusive. She can go ahead with the Michelle Braga fight and still schedule the Sky Nicholson fight for later on next year. That's saying that if she goes ahead and fights Michelle Braga in January, she can turn around and take on Sky Nicholson in, say, late March or early April for the newly vacated WBC title. Sarah's got the WBC silver and Sky's got the WBC's interim title. If you've been following this channel long enough, you will have heard me talk about this fight several times before, that for me and my money, this fight seemed a lot more realistic to me than a fight between Sky and Amanda. Not just more realistic, but also more sensible and more sensical, because I don't actually think Sky is anywhere near ready for a fighter like Amanda, but she might be ready for Sarah Mahfoud, the former IBF featherweight champion. This fight, for me and my money, always seemed like a more realistic possibility than a fight with Amanda as it pertains to a fight with Amanda. Veteran boxing scribe Mark Ortega said, Sky Nicholson tweeting as though Amanda Serrano is ducking her is nasty business, to which Sky replied, Amanda was notified that my mandatory was being ordered today and took to social media to keep selling the narrative about 3-minute rounds instead of just admitting the truth of the matter. Call me Delulu, but I'm gonna keep belt hunting. This is only the beginning. So Sky thinks Amanda's ducking her. Sky's saying that Amanda chose to vacate the title today because the fight between them was ordered today. Mark Ortega responded by saying, you would have a point if Amanda had only just now hitched her wagon to the 3-minute conversation, but she's been at the forefront even before the Taylor fight. Now that she has the cachet to take a stand, she is. To which Sky responded, no. She fought 10-2 in August, and when she found out I was fighting for the WBC interim in September, started getting her excuse ready. I've said this is exactly what was going to happen, and today, her vacating on Twitter after being notified of my mandatory status was no coincidence. And I don't buy it. Amanda Serrano has been beating the drum for 12 3-minute rounds as far back as February of last year, long before Sky Nicholson fought to become interim champion. And I don't think she did that with Sky Nicholson in mind. Quite simply, I think Sky Nicholson was the furthest thing from her mind that whole time. A Twitter user that goes by the name Spear Wrestling asked, would you fight her in 3-minute rounds for her other belts? To which Sky responded, I have no issue fighting 3-minute rounds. In fact, it suits my style, but I also respect the WBC's ruling and got myself into mandatory position with the WBC, which removed me from the other body's rankings. I will still be pushing to fight her for the other belts. Now that's interesting. If it's Sky Nicholson's plan to continue to pursue an Amanda Serrano fight, what she can do if she does become WBC champion is what Amanda did in the Danila Ramos fight. In that fight that was scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds, the WBC title, it wasn't on the line. So Sky could, at least in theory, employ a similar strategy to still box Amanda even if the WBC won't sanction it, to still box Amanda for the belts that Amanda has. But if she wants to box Amanda, it's got to be for 12 threes, and she's got to play ball. She's got to acquiesce to being the B-side because that's what she is. Things could get interesting in the coming year, and we may have yet another super fight in the women's featherweight division, a growing rivalry between Sky Nicholson and Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano, who could end up having a rematch with Katie Taylor. If that doesn't happen, this might No, it's not a super fight yet, but over time it could become that. First, Sky's got to take care of business against former IBF champion Sarah Mafud. It's an interesting matchup between them. Similar height, similar length, similar build. Their best punches, both Sky and Sarah's, are long-range punches from the outside coming in. I will say Sarah is noticeably more experienced than Sky, but Sky exhibits a better ceiling and a better amateur pedigree. Arguably more talented than Sarah, though we have to see how well that talent holds up. It's the only way to be sure, and we have to see what Sarah's going to decide to do now that the order has come down. Is she going to go through with the Michelle Braga fight early next year and schedule the Sky Nicholson fight for later on in the coming year, or is she going to scrap that fight in January and go straight into the fight with Sky? The fight with Sky might pay more money. It's for a full title. We'll see, because there is more to be addressed here than just what could happen with Sarah or what could happen with Amanda. If Sky Nicholson becomes champion, she may quickly find out there's winning the title, but then there's keeping it. There's a difference.
Seeing him and stuff, yeah, you know, he has a belt too, so you can't say that he's not a nobody. He's the IBF world champion and in my division.
Have you been paying attention to him?
To be honest, I've been more paying attention on, like, what more can I do outside of just my sport? But then also bringing it back in. So I'm really not focused on anyone. My biggest test is myself. So, you know, as long as I'm happy and my mind is straight, and I'm focused like always, he'll probably go out in 4.
Teofimo Lopez seemed very careful with his words and careful with his demeanor towards reigning IBF super lightweight champion Subriel Matias, who was in action not that long ago, and let his feelings be known. He wants Teofimo, he wants Rolly Romero, Gervonta Davis, and he wants the winner of this weekend's fight between Regis Prograis and Devin Haney. Subriel Matias is of the opinion that Devin Haney is going to win the fight and become WBC champion. WBO Ring Magazine champion Teofimo Lopez was recently asked about him on the Porter Wake podcast, and you saw it. He seemed unusually careful with his words and careful when broaching the subject of Subriel Matias. Oftentimes, in the sport of boxing, a lot of fighters like to liken themselves to soldiers and killers and things of that nature, whereas Subriel is one of the few, the very few, who literally is a killer. This is the guy. Not glorifying what he did or what happened, but if we are to broach the subject as to why this guy is so dangerous and why it seems like fighters part around him like a river around a rock, it's because, unfortunately, Maxim Dadashev lost his life due to the injuries he sustained in a fight with Subriel. And Subriel, in his last 5 or 6 fights, which he's won by way of knockout, 5 or 6 of these guys, they retired on their stools and didn't want to come out for the next round. That's the kind of fighter he is. He's a big, strong kid at 140 and a dangerous puncher, a volume puncher, under normal circumstances. Aggressive volume punchers play right into Teofimo Lopez's hands. A talented counterpuncher and a strong one, but a lightweight who moved up to super lightweight. He's not a career super lightweight. He's not the biggest super lightweight. You may have heard me say this in the previous video that I think Teofimo Lopez has the right style for Subriel Matias, though I'm not sure if he has the right size. And I don't want to disparage him. I don't want to tear him down. But when I think about that fight, that's what I'm left wondering. Can Teofimo Lopez fight this guy off and fight this guy back? Teofimo is a counterpuncher, and a strong one, a fast one, an athletic one, but he's still a lightweight who moved up to super lightweight. He's not a career super lightweight. So when I think about his talents, his skills... You say that Josh Taylor was a big super lightweight and Teofimo handled him, and Josh Taylor was an aggressive come-forward guy, mid-range to inside guy, but Josh Taylor was also struggling to make the weight. Josh Taylor was also coming off a year of inactivity. Josh Taylor was coming off a controversial points win over Jack Catterall in a fight that many people thought he lost. Nobody thinks Subriel lost his last fight, or the one before that, or the one before that. So let's not waste each other's time pretending that these circumstances are similar. They're not. Subriel Matias is a wrecking machine. And even though I think Teofimo has the right style for an aggressive, mid-range to inside volume puncher, what I'm not sure of is if he has the durability, if he has the size and punching power to keep this guy off him. It's not unusual to see Subriel get off to a slow start. It's not unusual to see guys tag him in the early goings of a fight, but he starts to gain momentum as the fight progresses. He starts to gain steam and beat the other man into submission. Teofimo, God bless him, he's talented, but he's not a particularly big super lightweight.
Or a prolific puncher. He doesn't throw that many punches in a round. He waits to get off a hard counter, then he moves in. Then he strings punches together. But if your counters don't have the same effect on him that they've had on other guys,
could get ugly. It's hard to imagine that any of the young stars, the bright ones at 140, are going to want anything to do with Subriel Matias because he's made for TV. He's entertaining to watch, but there's not a big financial incentive attached to fighting him, even if he is a champion at this weight. Rolly doesn't want nothing to do with him. It doesn't sound like Teofimo does either.
Devin says he plans on moving up to 147 after this weekend.
You almost wish that Regis Prograis would stay WBC champion beyond this weekend because he's the only one entertaining a fight with Subriel.
He's the only one that seems willing to do it. Not only does he have the right style, but he does seem to have the right size and level of experience.
But he has to get past Devin Haney first, and I don't know if he can.
Next move. Are you surprised Haney chose you?
Oh, of course. Well, it's like surprising, but at the same time, not because of Bill came to the Zorilla fight, and he think that's me. They was like, oh shit, Devin can beat him. They saw something. They think they saw something. So listen, I think Haney called me out before that, but I don't think he would have fought me. I think that because of the Zorilla fight, that's why they was like, all right, I think we see something. I think we can exploit this. So that's why I think that's why they chose me.
So I find it interesting because I know both of you pretty well. You guys have always been hard-nosed but professional, cordial individuals.
Right.
This hasn't necessarily been a cordial lead-up. What led into all this?
I feel like, man, it's just like they trying to treat me like I'm a challenger and I'm the champion. That's the thing. They trying to treat me like, I know Haney is he's the bigger name, but at the same time, I'm the champion. You trying to take my belt from me. I'm defending against you. You the challenger. So, they try to play that stuff, and it's like, nah, we not having it. Off the top, we not having it at all. I'm the champion, you the challenger, and that's how it's gonna be. That's how we gonna act. That's how we gonna play this, and it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be what they say it's gonna be.
There seems to be something. Is it just business or any of this personal in your view?
For me, it's mostly business, but it does get personal. It has to be personal. Like you have to look at it as personal. It's obviously it's business. Me and Haney, we don't make a lot of money fighting each other, but it still is personal.
If it is personal, more personal than usual at least, because Regis Prograis for the most part is a consummate professional in the build-up of fights, but in the build-up of this one, there has been a little bit more malice, a little bit more vitriol between the teams, and if it is that way, if it's more personal now than it usually is, then that's how he needs to fight on Saturday. That's how he needs to treat the situation, because based on styles,
Devin has the right style for Regis.
He does.
Regis has the right style for Subriel, and Subriel has the right style for Devin.
He does.
That if history is any indicator of things to come and how these fighters have been fighting up until this point,
Devin's got the right style for Regis, Regis has the right style for Subriel, and Subriel has the right style for Devin, not that Devin is looking to fight Subriel after this Saturday. Now, fighters and their styles, they can change. That's not to say that they can't change.
sometimes they do, but this is saying that if they don't, and the guys go in there doing what they usually do, then Devin might win a points decision because the pure boxer characteristically has an advantage over the boxer puncher, the counter puncher, on the premise that the counter puncher relies on the other man to make mistakes, to take chances, to catch him in between the shots. And pure boxers like Devin, they don't throw that many shots. They don't make that many mistakes. They don't give you that many opportunities.
Not really. Now, some may point to how Devin Haney fought Jorge Linares mid-range to inside, or how he fought Vasyl Lomachenko mid-range to inside. But Devin didn't actually look good in those fights. In fact, he got hurt in the Linares fight, and many people think he should have lost the Lomachenko fight. With a puncher like Regis at his first fight at 140, I don't think Devin will elect to box him mid-range to inside where he can use his power. Devin is a little taller than Regis and a little longer, perhaps even a little faster, and he's certainly the younger fighter of the two. Thus, I expect Devin to box him from the outside.
That's why I emphasize, if this is personal, Regis has to fight that way. Make it a fight and not a boxing match.
I get the sense the fight that Devin wants to fight is a fight akin to the fight that he fought with George Kambosos. Long range, long distance fighting, pot-shotting from the outside, the occasional counter, the occasional right hand, whilst coasting to a points decision. Thus, Regis has to break character a bit and take chances, double and triple up on his jab, fighting on a swivel, closing the distance, making it dirty, making it rough and tumble, and using what he has, because what he does have over Devin is power.
The trial is getting close enough to Devin to where you can use it.
And in his last fight, Regis couldn't get close enough to Danielito Zorrilla to use it on him. Danielito, who was fighting an outside fight. Same kind of outside fight I think Devin plans on fighting. Regis is of the opinion that the only reason that Devin really landed on him is because they saw how he looked in that fight, and they figure they can do the same or better.
If that's the case, I hope he's been working on cutting off the ring and cutting off the other man's exits, because that's why he couldn't pin down Danielito.
I won't lie to you that I am leaning towards Devin Haney to win a points decision, but a part of me wants Regis to win because Regis is likelier to unify titles with Subriel Matias than Devin is. Devin is talking about going up to 147 after this fight. I'm not interested in seeing him box anybody up there. I don't really want to see him box either Keith Thurman or Mario Barrios. I'm not interested in those fights.
I'd rather see him try and unify this weight class.
And if he wins, that won't happen. So even though I'm picking Devin Haney to win this weekend, a part of me is hoping that Regis can prove me wrong, that he has prepared and made the necessary adjustments to look better in this fight than he did in the last one.